When on August 27th, two Egyptian military planes landed in Somalia's capital, it ruffled feathers 1,000 kilometers away in Addis Ababa. The planes, delivering military aid, marked Egypt's first significant military engagement in Somalia in decades.
Somalia receives a lot of military equipment and donations. This one is significant just because it's coming specifically from Egypt and the timing of it. It came at a time where there's heightened tensions between Somalia and Ethiopia.
So why is Egypt doing this, and why is Ethiopia particularly concerned? Could it become more than a war of words? Ethiopia, a landlocked country, has long sought access to a seaport to boost its trade and military capabilities. Earlier in 2024, Ethiopia struck a deal with Somaliland, a self-declared independent region that broke away from Somalia over 30 years ago, but isn't internationally recognized.
So essentially, that deal was a swap of port access, sea access for Ethiopia on the Somaliland coast, and in return, Ethiopia would recognize Somaliland. And so Somalia sees that as an affront to its sovereignty.
In response, Somalia has sought to strengthen its ties with Egypt, a longtime rival of Ethiopia, particularly over control of the Nile waters. And now, as we mentioned at the start, Egyptian military aid is arriving in Mogadishu. So why is Ethiopia nervous about this move?
I think it does alarm Ethiopia a bit, just as the MOU with Somaliland alarms Somalia a bit. And so the problem is everyone's trying to outdo each other and get the upper hand, and you have these tit-for-tat sort of escalatory dynamics. So I do think it raises some concern in Addis.
The stakes are high, but is there more at play? The Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, Ethiopia's biggest infrastructure project, which they see as crucial for its economic development, providing much needed electricity and fostering growth. However, further down the Nile, it's been seen as a point of contention.
The River Nile is really important to Egypt because it has been the source of its economic sovereignty. Activity along the Nile is really what makes Egypt it's an economic powerhouse, whether it's tourism, whether it's agriculture. The filling up of the dam has been one controversial issue. The talks around that have never succeeded. And so for Egypt to be welcomed into Somalia, Ethiopia feels, I would say, marooned on both ends by Egypt.
Adding to the mix, there are discussions about deploying up to 10,000 Egyptian soldiers as part of the African Union peacekeeping mission in Somalia, with some possibly being stationed in Somaliland. This development is making Ethiopia nervous.
On paper, the two countries could exist in a mission if everything was okay. But at this moment, the tensions around Somalia not wanting Ethiopia to be part of the AU mission, Egypt and Ethiopia's internal tensions, I think it would be very, very tricky to have them both here, both in Somalia, and would really externalize the conflict that they're having in their country and have it in Somalia.
But it's not just about Egypt and Ethiopia. The Horn of Africa is a strategically significant region, drawing in other powerful players. Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Turkey all have significant interests here, particularly because of its location along the Red Sea, a vital global trade route.
External actors can very much play a role where they aggravate existing tensions, and we've seen this before historically. At the same time, outside actors can also play an important mediating role and sort of a conflict reducing role when that's done right. So we've seen Turkey take up the mediation right now between Ethiopia and Somalia. No real breakthroughs yet, but continuing down that path.
So where does this leave us? The situation in the Horn of Africa is delicate and could escalate if diplomatic efforts don't succeed. With multiple players involved and interests at stake, the region remains on edge.